How's it going, guys? Welcome to the video. We got a super fun video to bring you today. We're going to be talking about optics, specifically pistol optics, red dot sights. We have two here that we're going to be comparing today, the Holosun 507C and the Holosun 509T. We're going to talk about the differences, why one might be better than the other for you, and it's just going to be a fun time, so stick around for the video. Let's get it started. So a little while back, I picked up this Holosun 507C X2 in the green reticle. A little side note there, if you have not dived into checking out green reticles for your optics, would highly recommend it. They seem to be very beneficial, at least for myself, over a standard red dot sight. But besides the point, let's move on. This 507C X2 has been an amazing optic for me. Real quick, I'm gonna list through some of the features of this. It offers something like 50,000 hours of battery life. It offers a shake awake feature where when you have it set down for, I don't know how long it is, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes at a time, and it's not being touched, the optic will shut off. And then it's called shake awake because as soon as you touch it, even just a tiny little tap, you can see that it will turn back on. I've noticed this at night when it's laying on my bedside table. It's just sitting there. I haven't touched it in a while. There's no light coming from the optic. And then as soon as I just tap it, the optic turns on and you can see the green reticle again. So it's a very effective shake awake feature. It's not like a gimmick or anything like that. It does a great job at saving you battery life and extending the lifetime of your optic. Now, as far as the battery, it has a side opening here so that you can remove the battery, put a new one in without having to remove the entire optic off of the gun, putting the new battery in, putting it back on, and then re-zeroing it. You can keep your zero that you already have because you don't have to take the optic off. That's a really nice feature to have. Not to mention it has solar panels on the top of it. And my understanding of these solar panels is that they provide a secondary source similar to the battery, where when you're out in the sun in daylight, it will use the solar panels to power it, so you're not actually drawing from the battery power. Also, if the batteries were to die, you would still have some sort of battery life via the solar panels to be able to use the weapon. It just helps extend the battery life, make it last longer for you. So those are some of the features of the Holosun 507C. Now, it's been amazing, and I have literally zero complaints about this thing except for the fact that it's an open emitter optic. What that means is, if you aren't aware, red dot sights, they're not just a dot that just is there magically somehow appearing. There's an emitter that emits and projects the light for the dot from the back of the optic forwards onto the glass so that you can view it when you are aiming down the sight. And that emitter obviously needs to be open and unobstructed so that it can project the light onto the glass clearly so you can see it. But what happens is that with an open emitter optic like this, the real downside is that when you expose it to the weather, when you expose it to rain, snow, mud, dirt, etc., it can potentially get inside of the optic, block that emitter, and then you literally have no dot at all. You can't see anything when you look down the sight. So for me, I didn't think this was going to be a huge deal, to be honest. I thought that most of the time I'm shooting in sunny conditions anyways. There's no reason for me to have anything else because it's always going to work in broad daylight. But then I went one time to the shooting range and it was raining. And I realized very quickly the limitations of an open emitter optic. I honestly was like, these are kind of stupid when you start to think about it. And to be clear, I'm not saying they're actually stupid. They're very, very, very effective options. And until recently, there really was no other options out there. Open emitter optics were basically all you had as far as pistol optics. Well, then some companies started coming out with closed emitter optics or fully enclosed optics. And that is where this comes in, the Holosun 509T. This is a fully enclosed pistol red dot sight, or green dot sight in this case, because I went with the green reticle again. And it solves that singular issue with the 507C and all other open emitter optics, which is that the emitter is now enclosed inside of this housing and it is not open to the weather and other conditions. You can expose this to rain, water, you can submerge it in anything, and there will be no issues whatsoever because it is fully enclosed. It still functions and operates exactly the same way. It has all the same features and benefits that the 507C has, but it adds on that extra protection against weather and other extreme conditions. I have seen videos of people submerging these, dipping them in mud, water, etc., and they are fully functioning completely fine. The only thing that that you would ever really have to do is if you got a bunch of mud on it, you might have to brush off the rear glass so you can actually see through the optic. There's literally nothing that can get in the way or interfere with your ability to shoot with this optic, which is a really, really important thing here. When we're talking about these weapons that are potentially being used to protect ourselves, our families, our loved ones, etc., they really need to be fully functional, fully operational in a variety of conditions, because you never know what could happen or what could come your way. So something like this for me has been a huge game changer, and it allows me to feel just that little bit more confidence knowing that whatever comes my way, I am that much more ready and prepared for the conditions. Now, appearance-wise, they have pretty much the exact same size window to look through. It's not really a change that I can notice. Obviously the shape is a little bit different. This 507C is rounded. This one here is squared off. And if anything, I think being that it's squared off, you have that extra space in the corners that you didn't have here. So it almost seems like it would be a little bit more space, a little bit larger window to look through. Now, the final thing I should mention as far as the difference between the two of these is that the 507C can mount directly to the gun or directly to a plate without any issues. It has the RMR footprint, so whatever can mount the Trijicon RMR, you can also mount the 507C. The 509T has a little bit different of a mounting process, and that's because if you think about the fact that this is fully enclosed, there's really no room to have screws or space to screw down into the gun or the plate that you're mounting it to. There's no room because it's just a fully enclosed system. Now with this, you have the back open, the rear is open, so you have space to screw down into it. Well, with this, it's a little more complicated. So this has a little bit more similar to like the Picatinny style rail mounts. So with the 509T, it includes its own little plate, and you first mount that plate that this comes with to that other plate. So say you're using a Glock MOS, you want to find the plate that fits for the RMR footprint. You use that plate, connect the plate that comes with this 509T to that other plate, screw that into the gun, and then you take this 509T, slide it over top of that, and screw in from the side where it tightens and clamps down on the sides. Like I mentioned, kind of like the Picatinny rail mounts. It's tightening down, clamping down onto that rail that it came with. It's a little bit more complicated. You kind of have two plates, and because of that, it's going to sit a little bit higher. But in my experience, it hasn't changed anything for me, and I actually kind of like the height that it's at right now. Oh, I almost forgot that another huge benefit for myself and probably a number of you, you probably hate how on the 507C it has this huge Holosun logo in white that's very prominent, bold, stands out against the black of the optic, and it kind of looks a little ugly if you don't want to show off, hey, I got a Holosun optic. I don't know, some people care about that, some people won't, but it's very bold, prominent, easy for others to see. Now on the 509T, it actually has a blacked out logo, so unless you're very close up on it, you won't be able to tell it's a Holosun optic. Like I said, it doesn't really matter to me necessarily, but it's kind of nice. I actually prefer the blacked out look. It just looks a little more sleek. Your eyes, when you look at the gun, are not drawn to the brand of the optic. Your eyes are just kind of taking it in as a whole. You're not like distracted by, oh, Holosun. I don't know, small things, but makes a difference. So that was my comparison of the Holosun 507C and the Holosun 509T. Both of these optics, very, very, very capable. And the 507C has been my baby up until this point. I'm not going to get rid of it. There's no reason to get rid of it. It's still a very perfectly well-functioning optic, and it gets the job done in 99% of scenarios. But there's that 1% where it's raining, muddy, dirty, etc., where I think the Holosun 509T is going to take the win, no questions asked. It's going to get you that extra level of security and protection and confidence to know that it's fully enclosed, nothing can get in the emitter. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got something out of it. Maybe you have one or both of these optics and you were wondering what the differences were, or maybe you're picking up your very first pistol optic and you wanted to see what the differences were between a couple. Either way, leave your comments down below with any questions you might have. Appreciate you guys watching this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like on the video as well. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this going forward. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.